Andrew Tate is doing a massive brand pivot. Is it gonna work? Let's talk about it. So Andrew Tate is not some overnight success. He's been on reality TV shows since 2016 trying to get famous. So he's not an overnight success phenomenon. He's been slowly, methodically training to become the internet phenomenon that he is today. He is very smart, he's very practiced, he's very studied. And he found product market fit by becoming this alpha, top dog, top G capitalism character, this almost Nietzschean will to power of I'm strong, I'm gonna exploit all the weak, and if I get the money, I am right. That's personified by his Nuck Boy interview where he's talking about how he was behind the keyboards of his OnlyFans agency.
So I'm trying to teach these women, and the women kept fucking it up. So I said to him, it's like, you know what, fuck it. I'm taking over. So what I did is I unplugged their keyboards and plugged a new one in for me behind the screen.
And in fact, he's not just admitting this, he is actually proud of it. He's bragging about this to his buddies, Kyle and the Nuck Boys on the Full Send podcast. One of his most viral interviews ever.
The girls were just pure, just famoosers, just laughing, their titties out. And they were talking to fucking ice cold hustlers. We were taking their money, all of it, bro, all of it. We were fucking milking them dry. I had these guys selling their houses, life savings, loans, all of it to me. Give me it all. So like, and it's basic shit, right? You'd have a guy.
Did you feel bad or no?
Fuck no.
This reminds me of the scene in The Big Short where Steve Carell's character is like,
I don't get it. Why are they confessing?
They're not confessing. They're bragging.
So that is Andrew Tate's character. He was not just talking about this as a business model, he was bragging how smart he was for exploiting these poor men. And that business went super well. He had the most attention in the world. He was creating a massive audience. And how did he monetize that audience? How does this actually work as a business model? Well, he built the perfect business model to capture internet attention, which is information subscription products. He would have zero cost of good business, which is selling access to a community, selling access to lecturers about how to make money, and then dumping all this attention into that information product. Not only did he do that, the second pillar that was very interesting was creating an affiliate model where he would say, hey, my Hustler University students, I'm gonna give you a 30%, a 40%, a 50% revenue share for each incremental person you bring into my program. You can think of this as an MLM or a pyramid scheme. He is creating a network marketing of people pushing his content, which is again, 100% gross margin. Every single dollar goes to his pocket, and he is spending some of that budget to incentivize thousands, tens of thousands of little TikTokers and Instagrammers creating little clips on their own channels that disseminate his message. And of course, this is all under the contextual milieu of being in pandemic, being in COVID lockdown, where everyone is always online and people were bored. Young men today fail to have a role model. Having someone in their 30s, someone who's jacked, someone who's a multi-millionaire, has all this hot woman around, has Bugattis, has watches, lives in mansions, always on private jets, talking about how much money he spends. Man, if I'm a 15-year-old boy, I would love to be like someone like Andrew. So the product fit the market. He found product market fit and he exploited it to the utmost capacity. Really, my hat off to Andrew for capturing the cultural moment and installing a business model that exploited the hell out of it. For me, I have no moral or ethical judgment if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm a business person, I'm a capitalist, so I respect the business model and the brand he's created. But the thing is, he got slapped down, he got a little bit too big, and the Romanian government put him in jail, and there's a bunch of criminal investigations about him. I have no details or facts about if he's guilty or not guilty, and it's aside the point. This is a business video, not a moralizing video or a criminal investigation video. So what does Andrew Tate do? He is a very smart man. He's a very hardworking man. He's a very studied man. He talks about how his dad was a chess master and planning multiple moves ahead. So let's get into his mind and think about what moves he is making. He is saying that, hey, he is considered immoral. What is the highest morality position to take in human civilization? Well, I need to become religious. I need to have spirituality. So I'm gonna choose to convert to Islam, one of the most storied traditions of human civilization. Over 1 billion Muslims around the world, and one of the most beautiful cultural traditions in the world. That seems to be a very good power base to tie myself to, because I have a lot of business interests in the Middle East, in Dubai, in the Emirates. That is a religion of where I have a lot of cultural and business affinity towards. And it's one of the most opinionated religions today. It is a very strong community and tradition of what Islamic values stand for. So as a business person, if I'm trying to dissuade and pivot off of a very unethical, immoral brand, I'm gonna try to attach myself to the most moral, ethical, spiritual brand, which in his mind is Islam. So good business decision there to think, hey, I'm gonna pivot to talk about Islamic family values. I'm gonna talk about my daughter, my children, taking care of my family, traditional values. But is this working?
But I think now you're moving on to a different season.
Absolutely.
So I think you might need to reevaluate your tactics.
And we change every day.
I would say that the brand transition is very awkward. You're in a very chrysalis state here, Andrew. When you think about spirituality or religion, it's very antithetical about the self-aggrandizement of the ego, right? Like you had product market fit all about being yourself. You were strong, you were exploiting the weak.
I don't give a fuck. If you run an alcohol store.
You can't feel bad for people that pay for that shit.
Yeah, if you come and you enjoyed it and spoke to the girl and spent what you could afford to spend, cool. If you turned up and you were an idiot and got a loan out, is that my problem? No.
You deserve the money you obtained because you were smarter and more ruthless than the simps who are giving money to you through their OnlyFans account or the simps who are paying an information product to you. But a brand pivot to say, hey, I'm gonna devote myself to Allah, to God, my creator. That template, again, is a very known tradition, this template of a hero's journey, this prodigal son who flies too close to the sun, gets beaten down by society, and he rises from the phoenix from the ashes and transcends materialism into spirituality, into a transcendent state. I believe, Andrew, you're trying to match your story, your journey to the classic traditional hero's journey that's a part of every single civilizational tradition. We all have those hero story. But your character image is not coherent. You still flaunt your cars. You still have that tied to that materialism of having Bugattis, of having watches, of having private jets, of having mansions. So this transition is very awkward. So my recommendation to you, Andrew, is simple. I think it's a good business play to pivot towards traditional values, tie yourself to one of the most dominant religions in human civilization. Smart, but make that transition firm. One, from a brand perspective, and this is what celebrities do all the time, you gotta change your appearance. Your alpha capitalist top G version of yourself is always topless, wearing the sunglasses with the bald head, always working out, always having watches and Bugattis. That was your persona that got you to that fame of being top G. Now you're trying to be a devout Muslim, but you're still talking about capitalism. You're still aggrandizing your own ego. So my recommendation to you is actually consider changing your appearance, changing your brand to match more of those traditional Muslim values. Because if you are actually trying to change your brand, fully change your brand, change the visual appearance to it. Because the clip of you today looks like the same exact version of you talking about scamming people on OnlyFans, right? Like people can't tell. We're on the always internet on, you look about the same, and you need to distinguish yourself from that old you because you're the new, reformed you. So actually change your visual appearance, change your garb, change your look. So there's a visual distinction between old Andrew Tate and new Andrew Tate. And then two, give time, be patient around that brand pivot. I recommend saying, hey, take a 4 to 8 week sabbatical from content creation, from social media, and say that you are spending time studying with Islamic scholars and imams and really studying the Quran and really understanding and mastering the religion itself. Because then it's more credible when you talk about being a devout converted Muslim, you can actually speak to it, but it takes time. Like everyone knows that the Islamic scholars spend a lifetime studying the traditional texts to become where they are. And if you want to use that as a part of your brand, spend and invest time to actually learn and be able to espouse those religious principles in a proper, correct way. Maybe even learn Arabic and be able to talk about it so you look more authentic as a brand.
I'm gonna bring it back to the Bible.
Yep.
In the beginning was the what?
In the beginning was light, wasn't it? In the beginning was the stars, and I should know this.
In the beginning was the Word.
The Word, you're right.
So two very simple pivots from Andrew Tate talking about top G and scamming OnlyFans people to Andrew Tate, a leader of young men today. Young men today do not have a role model of what it's like being a man in modern civilization. So the problem is real. The product is still being discovered. right? Andrew Tate had a version of the product that worked really well, made him very rich and successful. But is that the end all be all? I don't think so. And I think this pivot towards traditional values, more of a spiritual tradition, is a good direction for this. So this advice is not just to Andrew, but it's for every entrepreneur, every brand owner who's thinking about their brand pivots. Each brand has its moment in time, and sometimes that moment passes. We need to always think about adapting that brand to fit the market requirements. This is obviously useful for Andrew, but I think the principles that I espouse here are useful for any entrepreneur, any brand owner who's evolving their brand, their business, through a very changing, dynamic marketplace. Hope this was educational, hope this was inspiring, and hopefully this is not your typical boring Andrew Tate content that talks about, oh, he's immoral or he's awesome. My hope with this piece is really taking an orthogonal approach, really breaking down Andrew as a business entity and giving takeaways where we can take the learnings from Andrew Tate and how he found his financial success and how he's pivoting his business model against a new reality that he's competing in now to your business. So please like, subscribe, comment. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let's have a debate. Let's argue it out. Let's stick to the merits, not go emotional, not go ad hominem. Follow for more business breakdowns of the most interesting, most polarizing people and businesses in the world. Jeff Wu is out.